Hi everyone, Ape Factory here. Today we're adding a wireless CarPlay functionality to the OEM Audi MMI system. This particular application is for a 2013 to 2015 Audi RS5 as found in the United States, but other cars may be similar. This is very much the entry-level application which gives you all of the CarPlay functionality while retaining all of the features found in the factory MMI system. It's extremely easy to install and is plug and play with no cutting or splicing needed. It also retains the factory screen and does not provide touchscreen capabilities. This is what's referred to as an interface unit. It interfaces with the factory wiring harness and provides additional inputs used for the CarPlay features. It's basically a box with a PCB board and external plugs. This unit works with Apple CarPlay as well as Android Auto products. Because I drink the Kool-Aid, I will only be going over the installation of the Apple CarPlay side of things. This is an easy way to modernize Audi's infotainment functionality while losing none of the original system's capabilities. I know this one feature may seem small, but one of the major benefits, IMO, is the ability to keep both hands on the steering wheel and still be able to switch to the next song. Most of you know the quote-unquote normal process is to use the small joystick on the center dash, which not only controls song track advancement but volume as well. With the wireless CarPlay system installed, volume is still controlled with the right wheel, and songs being played through your phone wirelessly can now be advanced with the left wheel on your steering wheel. So, now that I've piqued your interest, where exactly does one purchase one of these magical boxes? The short answer is China. They're pretty much all made there. There are differences between the various offerings as each vendor pays licensing fees to unlock various features. I found one of the best vendors to be RSNav. The owner, Daniel, is a Canadian resident and also an Audi owner. He's been a major supporter of the Audi community and works with a small crew in Hong Kong to improve the functionality and performance of the RSNav units. He even takes the time to fly back and forth between the factory and his home in Canada. You may save a few bucks buying another brand, but they are all mechanically the same unit, but most likely come with far less support and features than what RSNav offers. RSNav also does custom coding, which is not found in other products. Just to prove my point, RSNav offers a comprehensive installation guide in PDF format right on their own website. In addition, there are RSNav's forums, both on the RSNav site as well as Facebook. There, owners can share their experiences as well as troubleshoot any issues which may arise. To be perfectly honest, I purchased a competitor's product which had an incomplete installation manual and slow, imperfect support. As a result, I spent a few weeks troubleshooting until I discovered what I'd been doing wrong. We'll touch on that later in this video. The MI found in the RS5 is exactly the same as the unit found in other Audi vehicles like the S5. There have been upgrades, but they all use the same software and are thus compatible with the same CarPlay interface. The RS5 has a 3G Plus MMI system. One tip, you can see the version information by navigating to the MMI setup and then to the version information screen. As you can see, my unit is an HN Plus and is using software version K0942_6. Let's get into the installation. The installation will require the removal of the main MMI unit as well as the climate control panel just below. It's not necessary to completely remove either one, however. I did remove the entire unit just for shits and giggles, and for anyone who may want to glean a little bit of information from seeing the unit on all sides. It's also important to note the necessity of the auxiliary port being active. If your car already has an activated auxiliary port, you're good to go. If not, the auxiliary port will need to be activated via the green screen functions, which I am not going to go over in this video. There are numerous videos on YouTube on how to activate the green screen. The Rostec VCDS is one such method. I had two sets of tools on hand, a set of head unit removal keys as well as a set of plastic trim removal tools. In the end, I only needed the removal keys. They can be found for under $10 on Amazon.com, and you do need two of them. The CarPlay kit is complete with a no-splice harness for this application, as well as various other wiring harnesses, wires, and antennas. The kit also features its own Bluetooth antenna. The first step in the installation process is preparing the main unit for your model vehicle. There's a collection of dip switches on one side as well as a diagram showing the correct switch settings for each model of car. The very top line is what is used for the RS5 with all switches in the off position. Make sure they're set correctly before installing the unit. Here's a quick demonstration on how easy it is to remove the main MMI unit. Insert the two keys into their slots and pull straight back. Take a bit of extra care and have a cloth handy to cover the shift knob and the center console. A quick tip: turn the car's accessory power on, and with the parking brake engaged and the car's engine off, move the shift lever into the drive position. Turn the accessory power off and continue with the installation. This will provide a bit more room to maneuver. Once the main unit has been removed, depress the small tabs on the back side of the unit's face, which release the removal keys and allow them to be set aside. Looking at the back, we're only concerned with two plugs. The first is the gray LVDS cable port, as well as the main CAN bus plug. It's the big one that uses the lever to unlock and push itself out of the plug. Pretty hard to miss. Every other plug stays intact, so there's no need to remove them. It can be a bit difficult to remove the main CAN bus plug, so find an appropriate angle of attack. One tip: take a photo with your smartphone. If you get lost, the photo will provide a guide as to how everything was originally installed. I removed all of the plugs and the unit entirely just for the purposes of this video and to document the unit's labeling for future posterity. Let's look at the actual installation process. I already have the main unit loose and ready to pull out. Grab the main harness for the CarPlay unit. The large portion of the main wiring harness attaches to the MMI unit and only attaches one way. Make a special note that the plug will sit flush with the back of the MMI unit when correctly installed. It is possible to install it about 3/4 of the way in and not fully seated. Make sure you don't do that. The other half of the main wiring harness will plug into the car's existing wiring harness. Note that there's an additional set of plugs. These will interface with the climate control plug on the right side of the climate control panel. One end will attach to the panel itself, and the other will attach to the car's original climate control wiring harness plug. But before we do that, let's go ahead and remove the gray LVDS cable and install the new splitter LVDS cable. The plugs will only install one way, with a single plug installing into the back of the MMI unit. One half of the splitter will interface with the factory cable, and the other half will eventually go to the CarPlay box. With that complete, plug the other half of the main wiring harness into the climate control panel as well as the factory plug. Again, they can only be installed one way. The last plug on the main harness plugs into the CAN port on the CarPlay unit. There are a few other items to install, including the USB plug as well as the antenna. I chose to route the antenna cable through a hole in the bottom of the climate control panel. There's a hole on the right bottom big enough to pass the antenna's connector straight through. The instructions recommend the antenna be mounted behind the dash, but not so that there are any metal pieces between it and the cabin. Instead of doing things that way, I'm going to mount the antenna in the area below the climate control panel where there are no obstructions impeding it from receiving a signal. The antenna is fairly small and black in color and not readily visible when mounted in that position. They do include 3M mounting tape on the back for a semi-permanent mounting solution. The most daunting task is getting all the new and existing components back into the same space. Fortunately, there's a good deal of additional space, and if you're careful, the components can be crammed in there. Hello, 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 hello. Now is a good time to turn on the accessory power and make sure everything does power up. Just be patient and try aligning the cords and the box in various positions until you find something that works. Remember the auxiliary port in the glove box? This is the final piece of the puzzle. Simply plug in the included accessory port cable. Do not plug anything else into this cable. This engages the auxiliary port and allows the CarPlay interface to work with the MMI unit. If the MMI does not see anything plugged into the auxiliary port, CarPlay will not be activated. Additionally, make sure to select auxiliary as the input via the MMI. Once everything is buttoned up, go to the factory MMI settings and turn off the factory Bluetooth. From now on, the car will use the CarPlay Bluetooth interface. If you fail to turn the factory Bluetooth off, you will have streaming music but no hands-free calling and no turn-by-turn voice navigation audio. The factory Bluetooth must be off in order for the system to fully work. Pairing your phone is fairly easy and the system actually connects via Wi-Fi. Just follow the on-screen prompts and it'll be up and running in no time. I've had this system installed for a few months and it's worked flawlessly for the most part. Being that it is a Class A device, powerful radio waves can cause intermittent pauses in music. I have experienced this, but it is not often and it usually only occurs for a few nanoseconds. It's almost not worth mentioning. There does not seem to be any loss in audio quality either. Overall, I am very happy with the product and how it's helped bring the factory MMI up to date for very little cash outlay. If the need arises, the user can toggle back and forth between the factory system and CarPlay by pressing and holding the nav button. Also of note, Apple's latest iOS has some cool new features including automating tasks. I've set mine up so the car greets me when I get in and launch CarPlay. Have a listen.
Hello, Michelle. You look very handsome today. Have a fun drive and try not to scare the locals. Watch out for cops.